Let's take a trip around the curve. It's a deal, people. The WGA and the AMPTP reach a tentative agreement to end the writers' strike. All attention will now turn to getting SAG-AFTRA and the AMPTP back to the bargaining table to work out a deal to end the actors' strike, which has been going on for 73 days. Economists estimated that the dual strikes have cost California's economy some $5 billion. In other news, SAG-AFTRA members overwhelmingly approved strike authorization versus video game industry. Stay tuned for that one, folks. Governor Newsom vetoed a bill giving unemployment benefits to workers on strike. Quote unquote, he says, now is not the time to increase costs or incur this sizable debt. Late night shows set to return soon after the writers' strike and studios strike a deal, so we're looking forward to that. The Golden Globes adds 2 new categories for Best Blockbuster and Best Stand-Up. They take place at the 81st Awards ceremony in January 2024. Disney Entertainment TV is to reinstate suspended overall deals following the WGA deal, along with Warner Brothers, Apple, Netflix, and Sony Pictures Television, who started notifying people their packs have been reinstated. Universal Studio Group, which includes Universal Television and UCP, has reinstated all of its writing and non-writing producers, but did not extend the term on any of the deals. Netflix's Nicole Kidman limited series The Perfect Couple resumes shooting post WGA strike without the stars. Let's see how that turns out. Y'all knew it was happening. You knew it was coming. Beyonce partners with the AMC theaters to distribute Renaissance Tour concert film mirroring the theater chain's partnership with Taylor Swift. I told y'all. The Wiz with Wayne Brady is set to have a Broadway opening in April 2024. Can't wait for this one, which also stars Deborah Cox as Glinda. AMC Theaters will start Heritage Hispanic Month at more than 500 AMC locations in the United States, showing Blue Beetle for just $5 plus tax through October 15th. Check your local listings for which theaters will participate and which one is an AMC theater near you. Academy Award winner Shirley MacLaine and Trace Lysette will be honored at the 2023 Outfest Legacy Awards on October 22nd in Hollywood. Speaking of Outfest, Outfest saw many layoffs, and executive director Damian Navarro is taking a leave of absence amid staffers' rejected unionization effort. The new Mean Girls movie that Paramount has been prepping for at Paramount Plus is going theatrical. The release date is January 12th, 2024. That's MLK 4-day holiday weekend. Hello Sunshine announces the talent lineup for their Shine Away event. The inaugural event, created in collaboration with AT&T, takes place on October 21st. Dan Harmon's Krapopolis debuts as the most watched animated series of the decade with 3.6 million viewers. And the news documentary Emmy winners include The Janes, Retrograde, In Her Hands, Goodnight Oppie, and Escape from Kabul. Martin Sensmeiser, Ron Perlman, Issei Moreras, and Eric Nelson lead the Western Cottonmouth. Filming is underway right now in Oklahoma. Tom Brady has a scripted limited series, The Patriot Way, in the works from the Fighter screenwriters. The 61st annual New York Film Festival kicked off in New York this week with Todd Haynes as May December, starring Oscar winners Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore and Charles Melton. Other films slated for the festival include Foe from director Garth Davis, about a relationship that reflects the state of the planet, and Bradley Cooper's Maestro. Fans may love the realism in the new Saw X horror film, but try living next door to the editing bay. The directors revealed that apparently the neighbors summoned help because they believed someone was in danger next door. That's hilarious. Next on The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata, we have a review of Flora and Son. We'll also be talking to the executive producer Lynette Ramirez and the director Minhas Huda from Showtime's Heist 88. And I have an exclusive interview with Todd Haynes, the director of May December, coming up on The Curvy Critic right now.
Hold up. Wait a minute. I wish you love, peace, and hair grease.
Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Yeah, you know I'm always shooting straight from the hip.
This is Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Critic, and I shoot straight from the hip.
Yeah, you know I'm always shooting straight from the hip.
Hi, everybody. It's your girl, Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Film Critic. I am in New York City. I'm staying at a beautiful hotel right off of Central Park, and I'm coming to you live from New York. I usually do this at 5 p.m. on Sunday, but baby, your girl was engaged with some shenanigans and I couldn't make it. So I'm here right now. You'll probably catch it in real time or you'll catch it after the fact. But whenever you catch it, I'm glad that you showed up. If you were on YouTube watching this, give me a big thumbs up to let me know you were here. If you're watching this via LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitter, or Facebook, please subscribe to the channel and give me a big thumbs up to let me know you were here. You never know who you might see. Like today, we're going to get into the New York Film Festival, which is celebrating its 61st year. I was here last year for the first time for the celebration of their 60th year, and it was really lovely. They always have a really great film that starts out the festival. But what I usually do before I get into all of that is I tell you what my week was like and what I did. I do want to do this. I'm not a political person, but this woman right here, Senator Dianne Feinstein, just passed away this past week. And when I tell you that this woman, along with Senator Barbara Boxer, when the housing crisis hit, they helped me save my home. Those two women are truly the embodiment of the people's servant, because when I called their offices and asked them for help, they stayed on it until my help and my situation was resolved. I will never forget Barbara Boxer or Dianne Feinstein for that. And I just wanted to pay homage to her at the beginning of the show. So while I've been here in New York, like I said, I've been attending the New York Film Festival. It's going on right now through October 15th. It's got some great films happening, including May, December, which I attended the premiere opening gala of, then popped on over to the party. And then I did a little interview with Todd Haynes, who's coming up next. That's him in the middle, flanked by his stars. To your left would be Julianne Moore, Oscar winner Natalie Portman, and Charles Melton. Then after that, we went over to Cafe Carlyle, which is a legendary cabaret spot in the New York City on the east side. And we had a little cocktail situation at Cafe Carlyle. If you're not familiar with Cafe Carlyle, oh, sorry, wrong picture. If you're not familiar with Cafe Carlyle, this man right here, Bobby Short, is synonymous with the Cafe Carlyle. He is a legendary piano cabaret musical director, and he's played for everyone from Chita Rivera to you name it. He played for them, and he did his own shows. They were always sold out in a very intimate setting at Cafe Carlyle. This is the view from my room. That is Central Park, baby. I got a little, it's not an obstructive view, but it's a partial view. But honey, I'll take it at any time, any day, anywhere. And then I hopped on over. I had a few hours, so I hopped on over to see this play called Pearly Victorious. Now, let me explain. Pearly Victorious is the play version from which the musical Pearly is based on, both of which are written by the late Ossie Davis, who was married to Ruby Dee, and the two of them starred in this play version. Now it has been revived for the first time in over 60 years on Broadway, starring Tony Award winner, Oscar nominee, Emmy nominee, Leslie Odom Jr. That's him in this picture with me backstage with Susan Laurie Parks, who is a Tony Award winning playwright for Top Dog, Underdog, Porgy and Bess, so many other things. And he's holding his little daughter, Lucy. Isn't she cute? And then I ran into some more folks. Kara, who plays Lutie Bell, Gussie Mae Jenkins, the part that won Melba Moore the Tony Award in the musical version. That is Kara in the middle. And baby, when I tell you her and Leslie Odom Jr. are wearing it all the way out and doing all the things, I do not exaggerate. This girl, I've never seen an actress like her in my life. She is absolutely ridiculously talented. And then I hopped over and said hello to my friend Vanessa Bell Calloway, who is also in the play. It was Old Home Week, because then we all took this fabulous picture. And I just love this photograph because it is a bunch of Black people backstage at a Black play. My friend Melvin Abstin is down there next to Leslie on your right. And next to me is Billy Eugene Jones, who is also in the play, who has shenanigans. He's so funny, and he's been in so many other shows in addition to that. And in the middle, back there in the white, is Omar Epps, who stopped by to see the show as well, and his beautiful wife, Keisha. So that was it for what I did the week before, and what I plan on, and what I've been doing since I've been in New York. But today we're going to get into a couple of films. I have the producers and director of Heist 88, which is a new film streaming on Showtime. I'll get into that in a little bit. I also have the reviews of a movie called Flora and Son, which is streaming on Apple TV Plus. And of course, we're going to get into a little May, December, because I saw that at the New York Film Festival, and I want to tell you about it. It will not be in theaters until November, I think it's November 17th, or I think it's November 17th, but it won't be in theaters until November, and then it will flip over to Netflix and stream there on December 1st. But I am allowed under embargo to review it here because it is part of the New York Film Festival, which is currently going on. And of course, all of the written versions of everything that I talk about here on the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata are always available in the written form at thecurvyfilmcritic.com. So I'll just run that banner across the screen so that you'll know it is the Curvy Film Critic, thecurvyfilmcritic.com. I'll put it down there so that you can see it and run it across the screen so that it will be there for the entire show. So I'm gonna come back on screen for a little bit, and we're gonna talk about Heist 88. So Heist 88 is starring Courtney B. Vance, Keisha Sharp is in it, and Keith David is in it. And basically, it is inspired by true events of a bank heist that was planned by this middle-aged Black man named Jeremy Horn. He is the criminal mastermind, and he recruits a group of young bank employees to steal $80 million in one of the biggest bank heists in U.S. history. I know it sounds crazy, but what I want to point out about this film is that usually when we see these types of films, and I talk about this with the producer and the director, Minhaj Huda, normally when we see these kind of movies, it portrays Black people, all the Black people in it, in a very negative, thuggish, not positive light. And when we see these types of heist films, when it stars white people, it's made to look very glamorous, very enticing, and all those things. So that's one of the things that I love about Heist 88, in addition to the fact that it is a true story. It was originally supposed to be a TV series, and then they changed it and made it a film. But this interview it's really short. This interview was part of the AFCA Roundtable, the African American Film Critics Association, of which I am a member. They do these roundtables. And so because of the strike, we're not able to talk to the acting talent, but we are able to talk to the producers and the creatives of the project. So without further ado, here is my interview with Lynette Fernandez, who's representing Bassett Vance Productions, and the director of Heist 88, which is streaming now on Showtime, Mr. Minhaj Huda.
Help me rob the First National Bank of Chicago. I will make each of you very wealthy. I said we go get this money. Do you even care about what happens to us?
Get me the FBI.
Then we need to move now.
This is for real.
He has a heart attack.
I'm Carla Renata, the Curvy Film Critic. Most of the time when we see these types of stories, it's mostly seen from a white gaze, like the Oceans franchise. And every once in a while, we'll see it from a black gaze, like with Set It Off and Dead Presidents. But having said that, one of the characters in the film said this line, and it struck me. They said, "This is payback for being born black." And I want to know, for both of you coming out on the other side of this project, what is that? I know that you're not born black, but coming out on the other side of this project, what does that statement mean for you? And I'll start with ladies first with Lynette.
We want to tell stories that are entertaining, that, everybody watches Ocean's 11, everybody can watch Heist 88. But the point of view is going to be from the creator and the collaborator, and less through what has become the establishment a bit in Hollywood storytelling. And so it sounds like a little line, but it's a very big line. And I think even at the core of what Bassett Vance is doing. And what I believe, you've seen Courtney and Angela do for years in mainstream Hollywood, and the characters they've created and the roles they've chosen, is that all people are human, all people are complex, everybody has a back and a front. And those stories deserve to be told, and at the highest level.
Minhaj, do you want to add anything to that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not born black, but I'm certainly born brown, so I have that experience to add to it. And it's not a million miles away from what people that I know would say. So I didn't even flinch when I read that, and it felt completely natural and believable within the scene to me. And yeah, I get it. And and now that I'm living in the US, I'm learning a lot more about Black history. I believe it even more, so it's not something that bothered me in any shape or form, and very happy to make sure that it conveyed the intention and the emotion that it was supposed to.
So that was a very short interview. I told you it was part of a roundtable, but they addressed what I said about, when we see Black people in these films, it's usually negative, but Heist 88 shows them not necessarily in a positive light, but it shows that they aren't thugs. This man that is the criminal mastermind, Jeremy, he's very, very sharp and very, very smart. And the kids that he's dealing with work in the bank and know all kinds of inner workings of the bank and help. It has that Ocean's 88 feel, but with Black people. And so I loved it for that reason. But it is streaming on Showtime right now if you get a chance to watch it. I want to talk a little bit about this other movie that I saw called Flora and Son. So Flora and Son stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt. You guys know him from Third Rock in the Sun and a plethora of other films. As he's gotten older, he's just gotten better. I'll talk about that in a minute. And Eve Hewson. And Eve stars as a single mother who argues with her son, Max. But in an attempt to find him a hobby, she retrieves a guitar from a dumpster and discovers that one person's trash is another person's treasure. And what I'd like to say about this movie is this: love comes in all different types of forms, right? And even though this young lady is arguing with her son and trying to encourage him to do the right thing, she loves her son. She loves music. She loves that her husband, who they live in separate places, she loves that her husband is a songwriter, but she hates that her husband doesn't necessarily show up. So she turns to cigarettes and alcohol, and she's burying her soul in those things when she decides that she's going to take this guitar that she found in the trash and start taking guitar lessons. These guitar lessons end up saving her life, and she ends up finding love again on the internet, which is so apropos to how we live our lives and find relationships nowadays in the 21st century. A lot of people do it through the apps, the various ones. I won't mention them here, but that's how we have been navigating through the world. But when I tell you, Eve in this movie is doing all the things. She looks a lot like Florence Pugh. And for the longest time, I'm watching the film and she was giving me Florence Pugh vibes. But the chemistry on a computer screen between her and Joseph Gordon-Levitt is bananas. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a cutie pie in this film, y'all. He's hella cute and really fine. I was like, when did he grow up? Joseph, he got a little facial hair. The hair was longer. He was giving me, sexy kind of like, I don't know, Jason Mraz vibes. I don't know what it was, but I was digging it. I was digging their relationship, and I really dug how they didn't keep it to the computer screen for certain very intimate discussions between the two characters. They came out of the world of talking to the computer screen like I'm speaking to you, and had him walking around in the space with her, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. I loved watching that, and I loved seeing that happen. And I really appreciated the director, who is, what is his name? John Carney. I appreciated the fact that John Carney created that type, suspended the belief in that way to bring you into the story even more. But it's streaming right now on Apple TV Plus. You guys should take a look at it. Now, let me get into this New York Film Festival situation. May, December opened the festival, and it is a wild ride, to say the least. And let me tell you why it's a wild ride. This film deals with so many different types of analogies and metaphors that I could barely keep up. But it's directed by Todd Haynes. You guys know Todd Haynes' work from Far From Heaven, which he did with Julianne Moore. You know his work from Colette, and you know his work from Carol. He always deals with these women that are protagonists, and we talk about all of that. But the thing that is the most interesting about this particular movie is the fact that it deals with let me just read y'all what the description of the film is, so that I don't start rambling, because I will do that, honey. I will do it in a heartbeat. But what happens is, it's 20 years after this notorious tabloid romance, a married couple buckles under the pressure when a Hollywood actress meets them to do research for a film about their past. So when you watch this film, it's going to give you vibes of the whole Mary Kay Letourneau case. And if you're familiar with Mary Kay Letourneau was a 36-year-old woman when she hooked up with a 13-year-old boy that she was teaching in school. It made major headlines. It was in every newspaper, every tabloid, everywhere. They married. They had 3 kids together, and Mary Kay eventually lost her life to breast cancer. What is interesting is that Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore take on these roles, and Julianne plays Gracie, who is the Mary Kay Letourneau type character, and Elizabeth is played by Natalie Portman, the actress who comes to study her for this film. What is hilarious about it is that you see these Natalie Portman kind of make fun of the acting process, which, being an actor myself, made me laugh out loud. So that part made it funny. And it was hilarious the way she went about studying her and how that all went down. But what this film really does is it makes people take a colossal look at themselves. The way you think you are, and the way you really are, and the way you think your reality is, and the way your reality really is, are 2 different things. Both of these women are very cunning. They're very manipulative. They're very calculating. And in some instances, they are both very naive. And it also harkens into that whole thing about older women and younger men. We've seen that play out in films like The Graduate, Sunset Boulevard. We see how women antagonize each other over a man, which was a really interesting thing. And we also hear how a lot of times in films, the music manipulates the audience's feelings. The music, which is adapted from another film, and by Michael Legrand, or Michel Legrand, it doesn't manipulate, but what it does is it jars you, and it brings it just when you think you about to tap out, the music brings you back into the film. It's a very, very interesting film, and it's one of those films, you know how I always say, people are either gonna really love this film or they're gonna really hate it. This is gonna be one of those films that people either gonna really, 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 really like, or they're gonna really, 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 really not. There's not gonna be any gray area with it. I think that there's going to be some surprises, and I'm really hoping that when award season rolls around, that Natalie Portman gets some love, because baby, she is doing the daggum thing in this movie right here. But without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and let you listen to this interview that I did with Todd Haynes in conjunction with the New York Film Festival. But let me go to the comments and see what somebody said. And you know, my boy Brandon always show up, and he said that he saw Paw Patrol last Friday. It was pretty good, and they greenlit a third movie for 2026. Well, I know that you love that, Brandon, and that is your jam. So I am so happy that you're happy. But anyway, without further ado, y'all, take a look and a listen to this interview with the director of May December, which is currently playing at the New York Film Festival, Mr. Todd Haynes. I'm Carla Renata, the curvy film critic. You know what? That's okay. Everybody does it. Everybody does it.
You did that on purpose, though. You know you did that on purpose.
No,
to break the ice and make people smile.
So listen, Todd, I'm a huge fan of your work between Carol and Colette and Far From Home, or Far From Heaven, not Home, Far From Heaven. I'm a big fan of your work, and I noticed that women are always some type of protagonist in these films that you do. But what I particularly noticed about May December was the monarch butterfly analogy throughout, right?
Yeah.
And so the monarch butterfly is like an endangered species, and it comes up in spring, and it symbolizes hope.
Yeah.
So having said that, how did that analogy correlate with the scene in the bathroom with Julianne and Natalie, and how did it also correlate with that monologue that Natalie does toward the end of the movie? How do those two things kind of correlate with each other?
That's an interesting question. You know, like, I guess I always made the link, because the monarch butterfly theme was in the script by Sammy Birch. And I always made that connection to Joe in one way or the other, or by extension, the fact that it's going to be an empty nest. It's going to be the vacated cage. It's going to be the vacated chrysalis or whatever when the kids leave, you know? And so the whole movie is leading up to eventualities that some of which we know are coming and some of which we don't. And the ones that we don't know are coming are maybe the ones that have the biggest impact on him, the character of Joe, played by Charles Melton, in coming to some recognition of his situation in that house, you know? So without all wanting to overplay the metaphor, it became this really interesting sort of undertow throughout the course of the film.
Yeah, I dug that. I dug that a lot. I was like, ooh, this is interesting. I couldn't wait to ask you about that today.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you about is the fox, right?
Yeah.
So that fox, when she's standing there with that fox, I took it to mean a couple of things, and I just want to get your thoughts on it. Was the fox, you know, because that analogy, clever like a fox or cunning like a fox, was the fox representative of her? Was the fox representative of Elizabeth? Was the fox representative of Joe? Like, I don't know. What do you think?
And the script is described as a rabid fox. And I don't know, it's very brief on screen. There is some sounds that are associated with an ill or rabid animal, but mostly the fact that it doesn't run away and it locks eyes with Julianne Moore. And the predatory questions about her as a woman, of course, circulate this film. And here, late in the film, is this scene with a face-off with a wild or rabid animal. And themes of animals in cages go through the film with the pet store and so forth. So it was a film that had a lot of coherence in the sort of thematic language from the script on.
See, I'm a deep kind of dog. 'Cause I think
I can tell.
You're like, and last but not least, real quickly, I want to talk about the score. I know it was adapted and everything, but what really struck me about the score is that it was jarring at some points to kind of like snatch you out of reality. Was that on purpose? Was it discussed to be that, or what? Very much. I mean, the score did that in the film for which it was originally written, the film The Go-Between, Joseph Losey's 1971 film. This Michel Legrand score, and Michel Legrand has written hundreds of scores, and there are so many famous scores of his. I don't know of any that work exactly in this way, that slap you in the face from the outset and put you on alert that way that you describe. And I found that to be so fascinating, and it was fascinating within the context of The Go-Between, but I really felt like it would also make you know that something was coming in our story in May, December. We knew that the past happened a long time ago, that the sort of tabloid history, but it's been locked up and frozen for a long time. And here comes this actress who's starting to like chip away at it. So that music I just wanted to put in the hands of the audience and have them feel like, exactly what you're wondering, we're wondering too. Well, you had me in the palm of your hands with this film. I was riveted and I was all in full throttle.
That's
Thank you
cool.
so much
Thank you,
for
Carl.
giving me a slice of your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
So y'all see what I mean? I'm telling you, you don't want to miss this film when it hits Netflix. It is so good. I really enjoyed it. The performances are ridiculous. And Charles Melton, who Todd mentioned, perfection. He's very good. So let me just reiterate what I have spoken about today. And then when I come back next week, I will talk about Maestro, because I'll be seeing that this evening. And it also is playing at the New York Film Festival. If you don't know what Maestro is, it is a film that is directed and starring Bradley Cooper. He plays Leonard Bernstein in the film. And after I cut this off, I'm going to make my way over to do some activities associated with that. But in the meantime, make sure that you check out Flora and Son, which is now streaming on Apple TV+. Be on the lookout for May, December, directed by my boy Todd Haynes. Please check out Pearly Victorious on Broadway if you are in New York City, or if you are planning a trip to New York City. Please do yourselves a favor, get over to the Music Box Theater and check out that show. If you are also in New York City or planning on coming here within the next month or so, next couple of weeks, make sure you check out the 61st annual New York Film Festival, where so many good films are happening. And also check out Heist 88, which is playing on Showtime right now. So having said that, I'm going to come back on camera. Plot out. Oh, I got the wrong thing down there. I mess up all the time. See, that's what happens when you be trying to do stuff yourself. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me for this special live edition from my hotel room in New York City. And again, give me a big thumbs up if you are on YouTube. If you are on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook watching this, please subscribe to the channel and support a sister. I need all the help I can get. But until the next time, we're getting into the holiday season. I was on that plane, honey. People were sneezing and coughing and carrying on. COVID is back on the rise. So keep those hands washed. You don't necessarily have to keep that 6 feet distance, but or whatever it is, keep the distance, but social distance, but keep them hands washed and wear a mask in large settings if you feel like it's going to be to your advantage. Okay. And I will see y'all next week. I'll let you know throughout the week what I'm coming up with, because your girl has been on the go and I haven't really had time to think about what I'm going to do next week. But I think I'm probably going to have a live guest and we're going to talk about some things. But I'll let you know. Be on the lookout for it. Okay. So until the next time, love, peace, and hair grease. And I'll see you on the flip side. Deuces, baby.